Need some fast, cheap, reliable MUT coins? Go to MMOXP.com and use discount code MONEYSHOT for 5% off your order. Link in the description below. Welcome back, YouTubers and Madden fans. This is Madden Moneyshot, sniffing out the Madden cheese as always. Got a defense video for you today, some tips on how to stop the run. I think that run defense is probably one of the biggest problems that plagues the Madden community this year. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that is really a lack of understanding of the fundamentals of how to stop the run. Now, I know overall that the run game is pretty much overpowered. It's pretty broken in this year's Madden. So I'm not trying to suggest that by the end of this video you'll be able to stop every run play. But ultimately, the point of this video is to give you guys the knowledge and information needed about the fundamentals of stopping the run, so that by the end of this video you'll have learned something and be a better run defender. But like I said, I mean, ultimately there's a lot of variables, certain running backs, certain X factors, certain personnel, things like that can really alter your results. But ultimately, the things I'm going to share with you today should have you to a point where you should be a much better run defender by the end of this video. So starting off, I would say one of the first things that you're going to want to do is you're going to make sure that every play you're matching personnel. Wait till you see what your opponent's offensive personnel is. If they're going 2 running backs, 2 tight ends like my opponent here, I want to make sure I go in something heavy like a 3-4 or a 4-3, whatever my base defense is for my playbook. I want to come out in one of my best plays to match that. If they come out in something heavier than that, I should always have a defense set aside for that as well. So if my opponent comes out in something like a 3 tight end set, I'm going to kick my game up to what I consider my heaviest run defense, which for me personally is the 3-4 bear. So in this scenario, I'm matching personnel to the point where I'm never going to get bulldozed with blocking. If I'm coming out against somebody running a goal line like this and I come out in a 1-4-6 or a nickel or a dime, basically EA's formula is going to basically make it to the point where they bulldoze my DBs and run my guys over. Or you can have an issue like I had here where my defensive backs were just too small and the running back ran them over. So essentially, match size, match speed, the best that you can with the play calling and your personnel. If you got a power back, you want to come out in bigger defenders. If you have smaller speed back, then you want to come out with smaller defenders that have more speed. It's that simple. Other than that, the next thing I'd say you want to watch out for is where is your opponent running the ball. If he's running outside, running a cover 3 is not a good idea. Cover 3s, cover 4s, the cornerbacks play back. They can get beat outside easily for big gains to the edge. Now, they're pretty good as far as run defenses go to the inside, but ultimately if it's an outside run, you're going to want to go with a man or a cover 2. But you can always set up a cover 3 to be a good edge defense. Like right here, you can see I have a defensive, I have an extra guy in the box. He's coming off the edge to edge contain. But ultimately, the other side, because the cornerback's dropping back and there's nobody there, that's pretty much got to be something that I'm either A, going to have to use it like I do here, or B, you can see there's nothing but space, because outside runs, they don't do very good against outside runs. So here I cut it off. I make sure that I make the guy go back inside, luckily, but ultimately, cover 3, cover 4 is a very bad edge run defense. So if somebody's running inside on you, cover 3 and cover 4 is pretty good, but if they're running outside, you're going to want to switch to a cover 2. So cover 2 is very good for outside runs, especially when the cornerbacks are playing the cloud zones. They're playing down in the box like they are on this particular defense. Cover 2 inverts are okay, but ultimately a lot of times the linebackers don't play the edge very well. So here we're going to be running a couple of cover 2 plays. Ultimately, if you really want to kick your cover 2 up a notch, you have a couple different choices. You can A, put your guys, soft squats are pretty good on the outside, but if you put them on hard flats are going to react to the outside a lot faster. And if you really want to kick it up a notch, you can also press. You can see right here, this outside cornerback, he just shoots inside, he plays the run very well. It's probably one of the best ways to go as far as run defense is covered too. Now, man coverage is pretty good as well when it comes to run defense, because ultimately, typically you have somebody man to the running back, and that's going to be one of the benefits of a man defense, is they will basically play the run, they'll play the running back right away from the start of a play. Man can also be a very good edge defense as long as you set up your alignment correctly. If I were to bring this safety down over the running back and leave him outside, it's going to maintain the outside. But ultimately, a formation like this, you can tell that based off the formation, it's probably going to be an inside zone or a draw or something of that nature. So what I decided to do instead is take away the gap where the inside zone would be. So on this particular play, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to come over here, which is where the run play can go, more than likely is going to go, and I'm going to basically take away my gaps. No matter what defense you run, man, zone, whatever, you want to always make sure that you have outside containment on your outside defensive lineman in the box, and you want to take away as many gaps as possible on the inside. That's basically something that you should be doing on every single play. I call it gaps and leverage. Leverage meaning you have outside leverage with your defensive ends or your outside linebackers. Gaps meaning you don't have too big of holes on the inside for your opponent to run against. So ultimately, every defense you should call, you should be looking to limit both. On this next play, my opponent has a 2 tight end set. He has his receivers in tight, so I want to spread as much as possible. So I want my linebackers to get out as wide as possible. Both outside linebackers have outside containment to the tight ends that I'm trying to basically eliminate, and then I bring down the safety into the only gap that's on the play, the gap right in the center. So if he runs right up the middle, he doesn't have a free lane. He's going to run into me. As you can see right here, basically blow the play up. I force him to run outside, and he's got nothing because I took away all the gaps inside and I had leverage to the outside. That's really how you want to do it. Right here, same thing. Gaps and leverage once again. I got it covered too. I have hard flats. I have a cornerback outside where there's no receiver. So ultimately, I've taken away all the gaps and leverage, and he has to go somewhere he doesn't want to go. He wants to go right up the middle. There wasn't anything there, and there wasn't anything to the outside. So every single play, no matter what defense you run, make sure you're limiting your inside gaps and you have outside leverage to both sides, so that if your opponent runs to the outside, they're typically going to be running into a defender, and there's really nowhere to go. It'll basically change their entire game plan. Right here, you can see perfect alignment. I have a cornerback on the outside to the left, and I have a safety to the outside on the right. Even in a 3 tight end set, there's really no gaps or leverage for my opponent here to get any type of benefit or really any type of run space. So my next tip, I would say, no matter what defense you're running as well, hard flats are probably better as far as run defense than pretty much anything. I mean, if you're running in a curl flat, they're going to drop back too quick. If you're running a hard flat, at least they're going to drop down on the run play quicker. Now here they get caught up into traffic a little bit. My opponent gets a lucky broken tackle, but ultimately you can see how they're gonna react much better. Another thing you can do with those hard flats is press the defender. If you have pressed corners playing hard flats outside, you can see how they're going to maintain that edge way better. So if my opponent's going to run outside, I got that outside leverage that I want. He's going to get tackled. He has to take it back inside, which is not what he wanted to do there on that particular play. You can see how that pressing and that hard flatting combination really shuts that down. Now you can get set up a little bit in the pass defense. A lot of these tips are very aggressive and they won't help you in the pass, but if you know what your opponent's going to do, it's really going to be beneficial. As you can see right here, once again, he's shooting off the edge almost like he's on a blitz, which he is not on a blitz. He's just, the play recognition is coming into effect a lot quicker in a hard flat or even a soft squat. Now, there's a couple things that you can do that'll have a negative effect. Like number one, blitzing. To me, if you're trying to stop the run by sending extra blitzers, to me that has more of a negative effect than a positive effect. You can see how just a simple broken tackle or a miss can make you basically vulnerable to big runs. Now, safeties play more of a purpose than just against the pass. They're also safeties against the run. If you're going to send house blitzes, you're going to leave yourself very vulnerable. That if your opponent breaks through one line of defenders, then he might be gone. The other thing you never want to do is run commit. That's going to be a huge mistake. You're going to leave yourself very vulnerable to pass plays if you do that. You're also going to find yourself in a tough situation if you pass commit. A lot of times pass committing will basically, your defender will run right past the running back and go right for the quarterback like you did see on that last play. Now post snap, I find that one of your biggest responsibilities as a user middle linebacker or user defender is really just crowd control. Basically, you want to force your opponent in the direction that you want him to go. If your opponent's trying to run a lot of inside runs, you basically want to stretch the play out, force them to the outside. If they're trying to run a lot of outside runs, you want to make them do the exact opposite. You want to force them inside, back towards your defense. People, whenever you make them do the opposite of what they want to do, it really blows up the entire run play. So ultimately, your job as a user defender, a lot of times, is just cutting off the lane, forcing them back inside, or basically stepping into the gap so that they don't have that initial hole like they might want. I mean, you're rarely in a position where you personally have to make the tackle if you're playing good run defense. A lot of times, good run defense is just setting up your defense to the point where the computer does everything, based on proper alignment, proper adjustments, pre-snap like I went over earlier. But if you do find yourself in a position where you have to make a play, if you're by yourself, make sure you safe tackle like I did there. I'm stretching the run play out. I'm the lead, defender. I have to make the tackle. There wasn't really anybody behind me. So there I'm going to make a safe tackle. But if you're in a position where you have multiple defenders around you, that's probably the time where you can come in with the hit stick. So know if you have backup. If you don't have backup, safe tackle. If you do have backup, you can go, get a little greedy, try to get some fumbles and try to get some big hits. But ultimately, know who's around you. That's one of the most important things when it comes to run defense. If you're in a position where you have to make a tackle, make sure you know if you're by yourself or where your help is. If you're getting to a point where you're trying to cut a play off, but there's nobody on the inside, there's really no sense on cutting the play off. You have to make the play yourself. If there is somebody inside, you want to force it back to that computer defender. But ultimately, your job is just crowd control and trusting your teammates just like you would in a real NFL game, trusting them to do their job in their assignment. So that's it. That's the vid. Before I get out of here, I just want to let you guys know that my Patriots defensive ebook is updated. So if you guys purchased at any point in time throughout the year the Patriots defensive ebook and you want a free updated version, just make sure you send proof of purchase to any of my information off of my website, MADDENMONEYSHOT.com. Or if you're looking for a good defensive ebook, go pick it up because it's bigger than it ever was before. So check that out. I'll also have some new defensive ebooks coming out pretty soon. So make sure you check out my website for that. Other than that, if you guys want to see more videos like this, do me a favor with the like button and I'll do that next. And that's it. Other than that, thanks for watching, man. Moneyshot out. Need more help or just want to show your support? Then head over to my Patreon and join my team, where you can get exclusive content like ebooks and bonus plays, as well as early access to my vids and more. Link in the description below.